Ladies and gentlemen, what we are witnessing right now in the global tennis landscape feels less like a simple tournament storyline and more like the early chapters of a transformation era, a shift that is quietly but powerfully redefining the reach, the energy, and the emotional gravity of women's tennis across continents. In the heart of the Middle East, under the desert lights and inside one of the sport's most prestigious arenas, a narrative is unfolding that goes far beyond match scores and ranking points. At the center of this unfolding story stands Alexandra Eala, a 20-year-old competitor whose rise is now being described by players, organizers, and analysts alike as something far bigger than a promising career trajectory. It is being described as necessary. It is being described as powerful. And most strikingly, it is being described as huge for the future of women's tennis. Inside the electric atmosphere of the Dubai Duty-Free Tennis Championships, where the best athletes in the world gather to test their limits, Eala has not just arrived as another participant filling a draw slot. She has arrived as a force of attention, a gravitational pull for crowds, for conversations, and for the global tennis audience that is constantly searching for the next wave of stars capable of carrying the sport into new territories. Her presence at this tournament has sparked conversations among elite players themselves, including Jasmine Paolini, who openly acknowledged that Eala represents something essential for the global growth of tennis. This conversation is not built purely on statistics or rankings. It is built on atmosphere. It is built on cultural resonance. It is built on the undeniable energy shift that occurs when Eala steps on a court. During her opening round appearance against Hailey Baptiste, the match itself became secondary to the emotional waves surrounding her. Baptiste was forced to retire due to an abdominal issue while trailing. But even before the retirement moment, the tone had already been set. The crowd response was thunderous. The support felt less like typical tournament appreciation and more like a homecoming celebration taking place thousands of kilometers away from the Philippines. This level of crowd reaction has become a defining feature of her matches throughout the Middle East swing. Whether in Abu Dhabi, Doha, or now Dubai, the sound inside stadiums when she competes is described as something closer to a Grand Slam final atmosphere than an early round WTA match. And this is precisely what Paolini emphasized when discussing Eala's importance. Tennis, at its core, is a global sport. But global reach only becomes real when fans from every corner of the world see themselves represented on the court. Eala's rise signals that expansion in real time. Asia has long been a massive population center with deep sporting passion. Yet representation at the highest level of tennis has often been concentrated in specific regions and nations. The emergence of a Filipino superstar changes that equation dramatically. It opens emotional doors for millions of fans who suddenly feel personally invested in the outcomes of matches. It brings new eyes to tournaments that historically struggled to fill early round seats. And perhaps most importantly, it energizes the next generation of players who now see a pathway that previously felt distant. Paolini's perspective is rooted not only in sportsmanship, but in awareness of how tennis must evolve to stay globally dominant. When tournaments in Abu Dhabi and Doha saw crowd surges specifically tied to Eala's matches, it created a clear signal to tournament organizers and sponsors. Tennis thrives when it feels alive, when crowds roar, when new demographics engage emotionally with the sport. And Eala is currently delivering exactly that. But beyond fan engagement, her tennis journey itself adds weight to this narrative. The 2026 season has been a story of resilience and recalibration. Early in the year, she delivered an impressive semi-final run in Auckland, signaling strong preseason preparation. Then came the harsh reality check of a first-round exit at the Australian Open, a result that could have derailed confidence for many young players navigating the brutal consistency demands of the WTA Tour. Instead of fading, she recalibrated. In Manila, she pushed deep into the tournament, feeding off home support and sharpening her tactical confidence. In Abu Dhabi, she produced one of the defining comebacks of her career, reinforcing her reputation as a player who refuses to disappear under pressure. These results built the momentum that carried directly into Dubai, where she now stands inside the top 40, no longer a prospect knocking on the door, but a legitimate main draw threat. Tournament leadership in Dubai shares the same belief about her long-term significance. Director Salah Talik highlighted not only her on-court potential, but her personality traits, positivity, enthusiasm, and approachability. In modern professional sports, these characteristics matter. Athletes are no longer only competitors. They are ambassadors. They are emotional bridges between sport and audience. The demographic context in the UAE amplifies this effect dramatically. The Filipino population across the UAE is estimated to be close to 1 million people. Within Dubai duty-free alone, thousands of Filipino employees form a strong cultural presence. When an athlete from that community competes, it transforms the tournament environment. Fans feel ownership. They feel pride. They feel personally connected to the result. From a business and promotional perspective, this creates what organizers call loyalty creation. Fans who follow a player emotionally often become long-term tennis supporters. They learn the sport. They follow rankings. They attend more events. This is how tournaments grow beyond single-year success and build lasting fan ecosystems. Talik also emphasized another critical dimension: representation. When an Asian player breaks through on the global stage, it sends a message across the entire region that tennis is accessible, that success is possible, and that investment in development pathways is worthwhile. For Southeast Asia specifically, EALA represents a symbolic breakthrough moment. From a purely competitive standpoint, her game style also contributes to her growing reputation. As a left-handed player, she naturally disrupts standard rally patterns. Her cross-court forehand angles force opponents into uncomfortable backhand defensive zones. Combined with improved serve placement and smarter point construction, she is evolving into a tactically mature player faster than many expected. What makes her rise particularly compelling is timing. Women's tennis is entering a transitional era where generational turnover is accelerating. Established champions remain dominant, but younger players are beginning to challenge the hierarchy earlier in their careers. EALA's arrival fits perfectly into this timeline. Another factor amplifying her narrative is emotional relatability. She carries national expectations with visible pride rather than visible pressure. Fans respond strongly to athletes who compete with visible joy combined with visible fight. That emotional transparency creates deep fan loyalty. Looking ahead in Dubai, her next matchup against Paolini introduces a fascinating dynamic. It is not just a match between two professionals. It is a meeting between an established elite competitor and a rising cultural force. They have never met professionally before, adding unpredictability to the encounter. Regardless of the result, the broader story remains unchanged. EALA's presence has already shifted attention patterns, ticket demand, and media coverage. She is influencing how tournaments think about global audience development. She is influencing how fans engage with WTA events outside traditional markets. Perhaps most importantly, she's influencing how young players across Southeast Asia dream about their futures. Representation in sport is powerful not because it guarantees success, but because it makes success feel imaginable. As this tournament continues, the tennis world will watch closely not only her results, but the ripple effects of her presence. If she continues progressing through major draws, the conversation will move from important for tennis to essential to tennis's global future. Right now, though, the moment is about recognition. Recognition from fellow players. Recognition from tournament leadership. Recognition from fans filling stadiums thousands of miles from her home country. The message being sent across the sport is simple but powerful. Alexandra Eala is not just arriving. She is expanding the game's emotional geography. And if this trajectory continues, the story we are watching today in Dubai may eventually be remembered as the moment the global map of women's tennis permanently expanded.